Environment Victoria is a not-for-profit organisation with over 1,000 members and over 500 affiliate member groups. My role there is the Sustainable Transport Campaigner. And EV's role in relation to sustainable transport is to really put the urgency back into the environmental debate. We would suggest that the engineer and the architect also get into bed with Rodney Tolley or someone like that as well too, to make sure that transport's included in ESD. And certainly we would agree with Chris that there is a need for a road to Damascus type evolution, but we would suggest that that road be shared or share the space with pedestrians and all sorts of different sorts of vehicles as well. Transport often isn't a consideration in greenhouse emissions, even though for most households it generates approximately a third of a household emission. And yet most of the focus that we take is on the smaller components, lights for example. Environment Victoria aims to increase people's understanding. Sorry, did I go too far? Yes. Thanks. Of how poor travel choices can generate greenhouse emissions and pollutions. And the second component of that urgency, I guess, is to get people to see that transport is actually an act of consumption as well, and that consumption isn't really properly costed at the moment. Policy and infrastructure are significant components, and most of our trip options are actually determined at the macro level by policy and infrastructure. To achieve urban sustainability, we actually have to change the way we view things and to increase local opportunities for jobs, food, medical services, the whole kit and caboodle. And Alan's map before is a very good indicator of the sorts of things people need to do, and they need to be relatively close in order for us to reduce our transport component. To achieve this, policy and infrastructure changes need to include development design that makes sustainable transport actually the easiest option. So the car, to compete against the car, design needs to change. The sustainable transport options have to be the easiest ones people make. We need to prioritise sustainable transport in policy, and our current policy very much reflects a strong car-dependent society, to such an extent that we often don't realise the importance the car has to our life, and our policy reflects that. Environment Victoria works with members and our affiliate partners to achieve change, and it's about empowering people to make a difference in their own lives and to lobby for changes at a political level as well. Environment Victoria is encouraging people to understand that their access to jobs and to services, including food, is actually at risk from the lack of sustainable transport options at the moment. And we're encouraging people to lobby for that to change. We'd like to see a bit of a greater concept included of a share the road thing, that road space is actually a shared space and not solely for the use of the car or freight. By encouraging people to live more locally too, to increase their local social connections, to make their community participation, their recreation, their food buying, hopefully their jobs as well too, at a much more local level, then they're just reducing naturally the trip component of their day-to-day lives. And lastly, the sort of more political aspect of Environment Victoria's campaign at the moment is encouraging people to climate-proof their investments. So to encourage members and members of the public to query their superannuation as to what transport risks their investments have got, what climate exposure that they've got. And for those of us who've got our own shares as well too, to go along to AGMs and to actually ask what is the transport risk of this particular investment, and to encourage companies to mitigate those transport risks and their climate exposure. Thank you.